right. Arkansas's putting a sidewalk on the side of the highway there, so I can't use that anymore. I imagine that's a lot of the Build Back Better bucks down to the state level with major rules on how that money's to be spent. Probably across the country, you're going to see small towns like Eureka Springs improving the side of their highways and the city limits. We've got many roadside cabins like that here. We're color-coded routes on our trolley system here to take you different locations in the area. The red route's the one we followed this entire tour. Now here on the right-hand side, you'll find the historical log cabin inn. Cabins used to sit across the road over there as Camp Lead. Moved over here, refurbished, and looking mighty spiffy for 116 years of age. Hope I look that good at that age. Of course, my drivers keep reminding me I don't look that good. Artists come from all over the country, and they carve like mad through that weekend's events. After the weekend's events are over with, some of the artists hang around with consignment jobs, and that's what's happened here. The artists put birds on the top of the tree and human faces around the trunk of it. Now, it's not uncommon at all to see things like that around Carroll County and in Eureka Springs. Structures will not exceed 1 story in height. Just painting the front porch on this side of the building after giving a week on. The road we're traveling on will change names 7 times before we reach the hotel. See, in Eureka Springs, when you're around a corner, a lot of times your road name changes on you do that. Example of the road name change scenario that we're going to go through here on our way. As we pass this next telephone pole here, that's the only house on Ojo. You see, as we pass the next telephone pole here on the left, we'll be on. If they were to make that downstairs into a basement apartment, separated from that house, it would need more upstairs, large enough for 3 apartments downstairs. They'd have 4 addresses in one spot. Chances are you're large enough for whole numbers. Fortunately, we had a major fire next door to the Witch's Hat last year, displacing 4 families. Everybody got out just fine. I look forward to good things coming from the rebuild of this place. Now, across the street, I found some nightmares in the walls as they opened them up, but that is to be expected on a home of this age. It did come back together quite nicely. Excellent curb appeal. For that matter, most of the houses on this block have some semblance of curb appeal. Looks like it's about to change hands here. They've got the sale sign and the contract pending out there. Coming up here on the right-hand side, on the miles north of Eureka Springs, it provides the effective limestone without the magnesium anti-lodging. They even repurposed the old gas pump handles. Look behind the 77 and see what they did with them. They made them double door handles. They've even got a metal pedal car hanging on the building as part of their sign. Now, I know if the guys from American Picklers come into town, they're going to offer some serious cash to get that off the building into their van. As we rounded that, freshly paved and tried too. Of course, then our statistic of broken bones in the hospital may go up. Hey, none of us are immune to fire. Our Episcopal Church here. I look forward to good things coming. This is the brainchild of a man by the name of Powell Clayton. Now, Mr. Clayton had major investments in the Northwest Arkansas Railroad. He actually created the Eureka Springs line. This is a 2-mile spur coming down into town from the north side. Structure extending out the altitude and spa. With all the weddings that perform on property, they do have to have some place to make everybody pretty. As we get close to the building here, you might notice there's more of that native quarried limestone I've already pointed out to you. We had some masters of masonry that created this building here. They were Irish and they sure knew how to work the stone and make the blocks of this building. Now, first of all, this part of the country is quite seismically stable. So they were able to employ a technique in the construction phase of this building here called dry stacking. What that means is there is no mortar between the blocks on the building. Yes, they actually got on a separate trolley from the train station. They were brought about that. Is the laundry room, maintenance shop, and what you. All right, to get off property here, we'll head back to this parking lot. This is orient your eyes back towards the hotel. Take a gander up the central penthouse unit. You can recognize it. It's got a lightning rod on the top of it with a crescent moon on it. In the mid-1960s, that lightning rod was not on the building. Of course, we have big electrical storms on a regular basis here. It took a lightning strike, caught fire, and burned off the hotel. When the current owners purchased it a little over 25 years ago, in their renovation and restoration, they added it back to the top of the building. and they made that their permanent residence. Marty and Elise Rennick have lived up there for years. Now, Mr. Rennick has since passed away, but Mrs. Rennick is still with us. She's one dandy lady. She has this hotel and several others, and attractions around Northwest Arkansas. She takes outstanding care of her staff, and in return, they take awesome care of her properties. Now, we're going to head down on the front side of the hotel, and you actually walk down through that tower, past the Stations of the Cross on the hillside, to enter the church down below. In Eureka Springs, he did an aerial and ground survey here, and he found out we do not have a single perpendicular street crossing anywhere in town. I bet you can believe that, the little drive around you've done here. Here's another one for you. We also don't have a stoplight in town. Now, in this day of age, that makes us rather unique. I know the state of Arkansas has been on our city council for years trying to get us to put up a stoplight at Highway 23 South and Highway 62 Junction. You see, all of our schools are on 23 south of town, so twice a day as students are moving, we actually have to maintain a police officer at that intersection to keep the traffic flowing. I did see online what the state's intending to do at that intersection. They're about to remake it into a roundabout. Yeah, pretty much everybody is saying now. I'm okay with it, as long as it doesn't turn into a copy of DuPont Circle in Washington, D.C. That's There's a back wall to that shelf up against the mountainside. That's what makes the shelf possible on the side of the hill. That back wall is crucial here in town. To begin with, all of our springs come out of that wall. And a lot of the Victorian homes here are butted up against that wall. They use that wall for root cellars prior to having. This house has turned me into quite a porch junkie. I mean, I love a good porch, but there's a porch or balcony on every entrance to this house. And the front porch on the other side of the building, oh my gosh, it's so big it has its own rotunda. It even has a fan up in the rotunda. There's Tiffany stained glass throughout the property here. Even this carriage house here on the side, the front of it's full of stained glass. When you come around and see this front porch, you'll see what captured my attention on this place. I could on a rocking chair on that porch, making a long-tailed cat into a short-tailed cat. Now, there's a question running around your head, but you know, taking this tour is probably your best way. It's designed to be passed on a pink cottage here in a moment. This pink cottage is called the Crescent Cottage. It's where Pal Clayton once resided. Hard to rest by some kind of opinionated on things like that in life. Looks like hospital bills and physical therapy to me. There's lots of weddings to perform right here in the park. Sweet Springs actually got its name because the water coming out of the spring. They found when water runs over magnesium, it acquires that sweet flavor. So basically, it's better than a 25-mile radius of Eureka Springs. And it's sweet like I've added sugar to it. It's just the best way to describe the very desirable flavors of the minerals in the water. A lot of folks call it good whiskey making water. Of course, you got to keep in mind, Carrie Nation used to live in this town. Back during the temperance movement, she carried around a hatchet with her. Hacked up speakeasy between here and Kansas City. Used to live right across the valley in Hatchet Hall. Very thought. All right, as we take this corner here, we're turning into the part of town where the concentration of shops are. Ladies, if you're going to shop downtown, you do need more than one day to do it. You need 2, possibly 3. And gentlemen, if you're being drugged along for this wonderful adventure, there are plenty of watering holes in town. Lots of students to sit on. You know, Eureka Springs once had a bank robbery attempted in it, and only one bit cased the bank out. They decided at 12 noon every day, everyone goes to lunch except for one teller, and and a skeleton staff in the back of the bank. So the next day, they went in with guns in hand. Lo and behold, the bank was full of people. Turns out the only guy in the group of bank robbers that had a watch had said it. How low, breathing the street, but hot. Should be coming up next week, as a matter of fact. I'll take the Undertaker this weekend quite often. Hey, the bank's this building right here. As you pass by that red brick there, look close, you might see ground level access to all 7 flights. Basically, it's a fire escape coming up the backside of the building. Still counts as ground level access though. Now just beyond the hotel, you'll find basic parking, basic springs. The spring is actually located up behind the band shell. Years ago, they put in diversion lines, diverting that water underneath the concrete. Out of the road we're on. Across the highway footbridge over here is the Basic Springs bathhouse. That is our original bathhouse in Eureka Springs. Now, while I have your attention that side, just after the parking lot, you'll find a mural painted on the next building. The mural was painted back in 1979 by a local artist. You see, we share a birthday with the United States here. Our birthday is July 4th, 1879. So as of this year, we turned 144 during Eureka Springs. Now we're about to junction into Highway 23 coming through town. This is our main street. Locals came up with a nickname for this road years ago. They started calling this Mud Street. Back before it was paved, you wouldn't understand why. All that water comes from the bottom and it stays muddy all the time. Now we're not in the bottom here. We're about 50 feet off the bottom. They have smiles on their faces. They're going in there to get a marriage license. Now beyond the oldest banks in the county, that building right there, into a museum today. It's packed full of history of Eureka Springs. If you're downtown during normal banking hours Tuesday, go in those double doors there. It's well worth going in to see the lobby. Now they still do basic teller business in the bank, so local merchants downtown get change, do data deposits. The rest is staffed up on the highway, $2 million of taxpayer money. And at the time it was installed, it terminated gravel parking lot at the top of the hill that's privately owned. Of course, since then, it turns out these rocks are actually stucco on the gable end of the mansion. There's a big window up top and the back on this side, and those rocks are